he will or she will try to disrupt the whole class. And for the safety of all of us, and for the sake of time, it's good that I mute all of you. If you have any question, you'll just lift your hand up. There is an icon there, an emoji. You just click on that icon. It is written reactions. Like for example, if I put that reaction there, I hope you can see it. You can see the reaction. So you can put any reaction, you can even raise your hand. Like I've raised my own hand, and I'll be able to see you. Once I see you, and then I'll give you the permission to speak. Anyway, that is very fine. Judy, you are joining with your name only, Judy. Who is Judy? This one tulikataa. Sema ya kwamba unapoingia kwa darasa, ingia kama wengine. Ingia kama vile imeandikwa DFT, you can see the registration number. You don't join with your name only. Single name. Me, I don't know who Judy is. And even if I'm asked who that person is, I cannot recognize you. So many Judys in the world, leave alone in the world, in Kenya, and especially in our university, there are so many Judy. So Judy, itabidi umelog out, umejoin na jina ingine, or I'll just kick you out. So I'm just telling you in advance, you join, you log out, then you log in with an official admission number or registration number. Then we can talk. Now, having said that, last week you did your cut 1, and I'm officially telling you that assignment 1 will be released next week. I'll be releasing assignment 1 next week. And that assignment tells you how the semester is ending. Then after 2 weeks, we are going to release cut 2. And once we release cut 2, we wait for the final exam. How many weeks are remaining for you to actually say that the semester is over? We have only 4 weeks. We have only 4 weeks. When I count even today's week, we have 4 weeks. So come next week, we will have 3 weeks for the semester to be over. So once you do the final cut, which is cut 2, then we can call it a semester. So some of you did the cut, and the cut was marked automatically. If you are not aware, you can go to the portal and check what you got. I've also marked your assignment 1. You can now go and add your assignment plus your cut to see whether bonga points zinafika. So if you got your assignment 1 and you got in your cut 3.5, let's call them 3 marks, and that is 4 out of 40. 4 out of 20. So what does that tell you? You need to pull up your socks. You need to get exam everything for you to be now considered a serious person. That is it. Some of you did the assignment within 3 minutes. Somebody has finished the cut. Take your time. Mildred, take your time. Don't rush. You are rushing, you are going where? Take your time. Read the questions properly. Repeat the question again and again. Internalize the question very well. Choose the appropriate answer, not the right answer. You're not looking for the right answer. Choose the appropriate answer. Because all those answers that are listed there, if you look at them clearly, they are all right. But there is an appropriate answer you should select. So select the appropriate one. And I think because you are so much in a hurry, that's why you selected the wrong answer. And some of you got, actually there is also somebody, let me check. Let me go to the portal and check properly. Let me not live by guesswork. I want to scare some of you. Let me check the person who got the least marks. I'm checking the person who got the least marks. I will not reveal his name or her name. That will be unethical. The person who got the least marks got 1 mark. Actually, it is 0, not even 1, it's 0. There is a person who got 0 mark. 0 mark. The person who got a lot of marks, he got 9 marks. So not even 9. The person who got a lot of marks got 13 or 12. 12 or 13. Actually, it is 12. You know, I'm looking at the graph. The graph tells me between 12 and 13 is 1 person. Let me check now literally on the performance. The person who got a lot of marks here got 12. If you got more than 10, you are on the right track. You are doing a good job. If you got less than 10, you have a long way to go. You have a long way to go and pull up yourself. It seems that the holiday season, the December season is over. It's now time to work, and to not only to work, but to work hard. Make sure that you check your marks, you add them up and see the total marks that you have, and also project whether you are headed on the right track, on the right track, or whether you are headed on the wrong track, and then reevaluate yourself. Reevaluate yourself. So that is it. Now, having said that, I don't know what is happening. Some people have not joined. You can tell them to join the class. We are 34 participants, and it is almost 11:30. Even if some portals have been closed because of some issues to do with fee, I believe not everybody's portal is closed. Some of them takes advantage. Wengine wao wanachukua advantage kusema ya kwamba portal imefungwa, and so they don't come to class. Having said that, I also taught last week. We had a class, and we were talking about presentation skills. Presentation skills, speech. We talked about speech, and we said that speech is good. Speech is good, and this is what we said about speech. We said that at times you may be invited to give a speech. Every speech has got what we call theme. It has a theme. It has a thesis. Thesis is the purpose of the speech. And when we were looking at that, we said that every speech has got a purpose. The purpose may be to inform. The purpose may be to entertain. The purpose may be to persuade. The purpose may be to educate. The purpose may be to do what? Yeah, all those are purposes of a speech. Then we looked at what we call the types of speech. Remember, we looked at the impromptu speech, the extemporaneous. Then we also looked at the delivery. types of delivery when it comes to speeches. And we talked about impromptu again. We looked at extemporaneous. We talked about reading from a manuscript. We also talked about graduation speeches. We also talked about memorizing the speech, so on and so forth. And we also looked at the best way to present a speech. That you should look at the way you are dressed. How are you dressed? Dressing is very important because some people may not take you seriously because of the way you are dressed. So somebody said, dress the way you want to be addressed. So if you want to be addressed like dress like that. Dress on tattered jeans, dress on pockets, dress on miniskirts, and people will address you like that. You want people to address you like sir, madam, boss. Address you with what we call dignity. Dress in a manner that suggests dignity. That's how it is. Now, after looking at the way you should dress while giving a speech, we also looked at how you behave yourself. Maintain what we call eye contact. Maintain eye contact. And maintaining eye contact does not mean that you stare. There are people who are saying that I'm maintaining eye contact, but they are staring at you. Staring is when you focus on one particular area and it seems like you are not thinking. It has taken your mind. It has carried you. Whatever place you are focusing on, your mind has been carried. As in now you are focusing on that, and it's like you are not thinking. That is staring. Stare at something. Sometimes we stare at something with our mouth open. Even don't realize that our mouths are open. Until someone comes and hit you at the back and tells you, hey, come out. And you say, hey, what are you saying? That is staring. That is not maintaining eye contact. And we said to maintaining eye contact, also you need to think about culture, like the American culture. Maintaining eye contact is very important. Why? Because it shows that whatever you are saying is true. You are not lying, you are not hiding anything. In some culture, especially the Somali culture, you find that staring, especially when a man stares when he maintains eye contact to a woman or on a woman, then it may also it is a sign of not a good sign. Not a good sign. So it is very important that you maintain eye contact. Also, when you are speaking to the audiences, ensure that you are audible enough. Don't speak as if you are speaking to yourself. Speak in a loud voice such that those even seated in the auditorium at the back can hear you. And again, we are told that when you are moving between points, ensure that you are moving systematically. That is how it is. So, and also we looked at what we call visual aids, and we talked about the importance of visual aids, the types of visual aids or media that aids in visual. Today, we are talking about reading skills, which is our topic 6. Today, we are focusing on topic 6, and this is reading skills. So I'm sharing my screen. Those who are writing on the screen, look for somewhere to write because you are interfering with the 37 of us. Those who are scribbling on my screen, just look for a book and scribble on your book, not on the screen where everybody is seeing you and seeing how idle you are. So try to look for somewhere you scribble, not on the screen that I'm sharing, because you will be interfering with 37 participants. actually blocking the 37 participants and actually making them to focus on what you are scribbling on my screen. So today we are looking at topic 6 and we are looking at reading skills. And reading skills is very important, especially actually reading is important for everyone. And reading, we read for specific, for various reasons. Sometimes we read to entertain ourselves, get the entertainment. Sometimes we read because we are students, so that at least we can pass our exams. Sometimes we read to gain or to get more information. Sometimes we read general knowledge for you to be not to be left behind. Like what is happening in Kenya, the shilling versus the dollar, the economic system of the government, the parliament, what is happening around you, you need to be aware. So you'll find people buying newspaper and they want to read and know what is happening in their country. Now, before you read, you usually prepare yourself to read. There are 3 types of preparation. Number 1, psychological preparation. Before you go to buy a newspaper, before you say that I'm going to read for my exams, for my CAT, you prepare yourself psychologically. Psychological preparation simply means that you get rid of anything that can hinder your understanding. That is like, for example, conflicting ideas. There's a friend of mine, for example, at this point, let me not talk about the friend of mine. At this point, you find that maybe you are reading for your CAT. And as you are reading for your CAT or for your exam, you know there is that time you are supposed to read. As you read, maybe your parents have not paid school fees for you. So you're not even sure whether you will do the exam. And because of that particular idea that my parents have not paid school fees for me, I know they are struggling so much to look for that balance that is remaining. By the time they don't get the balance by this time, this week, then that simply means I will not be able to do the exam. So as you are in the library reading, instead of focusing on reading, also focusing on, you are also in doubt, will I be able to do the exam or not? So you are under what we call stress, because of that, you are psychologically disturbed. Another psychological interference or disturbance may come about when maybe, for example, you have lost your parent or your loved one or a relative, because this is happening. And this particular time, you find that you are preparing yourself to do an exam. So when you sit to read, you find that you cannot concentrate because you are in what we call in a morning state. When you're in a morning state, you cannot concentrate with your studies. I was talking to a friend of mine. This friend of mine happened to have lost her grandfather. And at that time, she was doing her KCSE. So when the people at home, because she was in a boarding school, the people at home knew that she has lost who? The parents, the grandfather. And they did not inform her until she finished her KCSE. She came back, that's when she was told, my friend, we lost your grandfather and we buried him. When she asked, why didn't you tell me? They told her, no, we wanted you to actually, first of all, finish your KCSE so that we can tell you. Because we knew it will affect you and you will not be able to concentrate. So sometimes these are called psychological preparation. When you prepare yourself psychologically that you are going to read, Of course, hoping that nothing will come about. Nobody will call you to tell you that this has happened at home that will disturb you and will actually make you not concentrate. Get rid of anything that can hinder your understanding or any conflicting ideas. A conflicting idea may be this unit is very hard. I don't know whether I'm going to understand. As you read, you are not concentrating. We also have what we call emotional preparation. Overexcitement is not good. Anger is not good. Remorsefulness or stress should be put under control. That is, emotions should be at equilibrium to maintain sobriety. Overexcitement is not good. I had a friend of mine, I'll give you a story. Now, this friend of mine went to a boarding school. This friend of mine was very good in biology. He would be number one, position 1 or position 2 in his class. One day, as they were doing a biology paper, it happened that they were doing a biology paper. She was seated next to a window. She could see through the gate, school gate. As she was doing the paper, something told her, "Can you check through the window, the gate, the school gate?" She saw her mother coming. Her mother had not told her that, his mother had not told him that he was coming. She was coming, So the mother, when she saw the mother, and he had just started his paper, he rushed and did the paper very fast, gave it out to the teacher who was invigilating, so that this guy can go and see her mother, and he can hug and see what the mother has brought him. When the paper was marked, this person was the last in class, and he was asked, "Why are you in last? How did you perform this paper poorly?" This person was not able to tell. Then the teacher said, "We're going to repeat this paper. Redo it again." So the teacher gave this person a second chance to do the paper, and he passed very well. He became number one. So therefore, the teacher realized that there was something that was disturbing the student. The teacher found out he found out that the reason why this person performed poorly is because the mother had visited the school that day, and so he did very fast so that he can go and see the mother. So overexcitement is not good. It can make you fail in your reading. It can make you not even do what we call concentrate. Anger is another thing. When you are angry, don't tell me that you can read a book and understand. Sorry for that. I don't know what has happened. I know you are also asking what has just happened. I don't know what has happened. Just in my Zoom account switching off automatically. So when you're in anger, you cannot concentrate. Suppose you have fought with somebody before doing an exam. You will not concentrate. You will not concentrate with your what we call your studies. Also, stress is another thing that puts, and you need to put these things under control. There was a time I was doing an exam. I was a student like you one day, and this time I was so much under stress because my parents had not paid school fees. I was unsure whether I would do the exam or not. I was seated, I was reading, I was asking myself, it is 2 hours to the exam. My parents are still telling me, "We are sending some money so that you can pay the school fees." I am waiting. Finally, they were not able to pay the school fees. And so I was pushed to do a special exam for that particular paper. But the following day, early in the morning, I managed to pay the school fees. So I did not concentrate very well. And I thank God that I was declared a special student. So I did a special exam because to say the truth, if I was to do that exam, I would not have passed because that was what we call stress. Stress is not good. And there is also what we call physiological preparation. You need to prepare yourself physiologically. For example, you need to feed well. Don't go to read for an exam and you are hungry. You did not eat well at night. You have not taken breakfast. You have not taken breakfast and you're going to the library to read. My friend, you will not understand anything. You will be yawning and yawning and yawning and shedding tears because of yawning. Number two, comfort should be a priority. It is space, narration. For example, if you're going to read, make sure that where you are seated is enough air. Open the windows. Don't go to a store and lock yourself in a store where there are bags of cement, where there are what we call poor lighting. Most stores, they have got poor lighting. Everything is dusty, just sneezing. So there must be space, aeration, lighting, the surrounding, free from unnecessary interruptions. You are somewhere seated, you are reading your books, and every now and then people keep on opening the door, closing the door, opening, shutting, something like that. That is a place that is not free from necessary interruption. And you must know your topic. You don't just say, today I'm reading communication skills from topic 1 to the last. No. In preparation, when you're preparing yourself for the exam, you say, today I am going to look at reading skills. I'll study reading skills until it gets to my nerves, until I understand everything. So after you know your topic, you need to gather all the necessary information about the topic. Today I'm reading about reading skills. Gather all the necessary textbook. Gather all the necessary what we call reading materials. Gather all the necessary reading materials so that you can refer. Like the way we started this particular unit, started by looking at element introduction to communication. Just decide that today I'm going to look at introduction to communication. Like some of us, we have timetables for reading. Some of us, it becomes very hard to follow the timetable. Ikifika ni kusoma communication skills, una postpone, una procrastinate. You procrastinate until that time the exam is being done tomorrow. And one thing that happens, I don't know what happens. I don't know. There is a certain spirit or devil that comes that day when you have decided tomorrow we are doing a communication skills paper in the morning. So today is the day that the Lord has made. Today I will read from topic 1 to the last topic. That's the time you hear, you experience what we call power blackout. When you follow through, you hear that our transformer was vandalized. And it stays for a whole week. But the other days when you are free, you are not reading. They have just decided to still vandalize the transformer this week. And once the week is done, maybe it was stolen on a Sunday. On a Sunday, that is when, after 1 week, that's when transformer is repaired or another one is bought, the electricity are back. It happens to me when I was doing my master's degree. I was preparing for an exam. And I said, this week I'm going to prepare very well. The whole of that week, transformer was vandalized. We called Kenya Power. They took a whole week before coming to fix the transformer. But the best thing is, I did not wait until the last day. I was reading bit by bit. It's good that you read bit by bit. Like when we started the first topic, you'd have created a timetable and follow the timetable strictly. Sit down, read. Like today we are in week 8. We should be at par with one another. You should be seated down somewhere reading. After this topic, you say, today I'm going to read this topic extensively. So that if anything happened towards the end of the exam, like those events, that unfortunate events, you will be in a better position. You'll say, at least I read up to topic 5. I'm only remaining with topic 3, which is easier than reading all the 8 or 10 topics. So types of reading. Number 1, have the following types of reading. Number 1, skimming. Skimming, these are reading skill where the reader runs through the given text or given written material, looking for keywords, looking for phrases, looking for sentences or paragraphs, with an aim to come up with an overview of the content. Like when you buy a book, you have bought maybe a novel, a book that has been written by maybe a renowned author. First thing that you do, you read at the back cover the story of that particular book. Get the gist of the book, to understand what the book is all about. For example, we are saying, suppose you are researching a topic or an essay or report. You might skim through multiple articles by reading headings, by reading subheadings, and the introductory and concluding paragraphs. Identify key ideas, identify key arguments, the overall stance of each article. This helps you decide which article are most relevant and should be read more thoroughly. Let me give an example. Suppose you go to a library. You are looking for communication skills book, and maybe it has happened again. I don't know what is wrong with Zoom today. So we are saying this. Suppose now you go to the library and you are looking for a communication skills book. This communication skills book, you want to read on a topic, library skills. Now, when you go to the library, of course, they have got several books for communication. They give you like 10 books for communication skills. What are you supposed to do? Take all of the books and read? No. What you do, you go there, you look at every book, library skills, topic library skills. The first thing that you do, you look at the headings. Headings are, maybe for example, library skills. What are the subheadings? Do those subheadings satisfy you? Do they include what you are looking for? And go to the introductory part. How are they introducing this particular topic? Then go to concluding paragraphs. Identify key ideas. Identify key arguments relating to, say, for example, library skills and the overall stance of each book. Once you look at every book, you will know the appropriate book to read. And when you get the appropriate book to read, take that book. Don't go to the library and you start reading books because they are talking about library skills. No, look at the table of content. We are reading maybe library skills. Look at library skills. What have they covered? What are the subtopics? They have covered maybe types of library, how to access the library, sections of library, and so on and so forth. Then you say, this is the book that I need. Don't read every book, because ukiamua ni kusoma vitabu zote, you will waste a lot of time there. That is why skimming is very important. Skimming is a reading skills where the reader runs through a given written material, looking for keywords, looking for phrases, looking for sentences, looking for paragraphs, with an aim to come up with an overview of the content. That now you can say, this is the book that I want. It has got 90%, if not 100% of what I want. But two type of reading is what we call scanning. Scanning, reader runs quickly through an entire document. You run quickly through the entire document, looking for specific information, and you stop as soon as you find it. For example, dictionary is a very good example. When you are looking for the meaning of the word quagmire, say for example, and you are going through, because everything is arranged according to the alphabet. You go to alphabet C, you go to letter C, you go to quagmire. Is it K or C? Something like that. K, I think it is K or something like that. You check the word. Check the word. Once you check the word, you stop immediately, you find it, and you read the meaning of that word. A very good example again, imagine you are searching for a specific recipe in a cookbook. So you could scan the table of content or the index to find recipe's page number, or scan through the recipe titles until you find the one you are looking for. Just like directory. Nowadays we don't use directories. Directories were used kitambo kidogo. You can go to a directory, you are looking for maybe a certain company's telephone number or a certain company's what we call box numbers. So if you go to the directory, you are looking for Safaricom's telephone number or box number. You will check on those companies that starts with letter S. And then you land on Safaricom and you check their box number. Once you get their box number, you stop there and I think that is what is scanning. Apart from scanning, scanning has got some advantages. Number one, it saves time. It saves time because you don't have to read everything. Like if you're looking for a word in a dictionary, you don't have to read from those words that start with the letter A. No, you'll have to go to, maybe you're looking for Safaricom. You have to go to those words that start with letter S. It saves time. Both scanning and skimming are time-saving techniques that will allow the readers to quickly assess the content and locate the specific information without having to read every word. They are particularly useful when dealing with lengthy text or when time is limited. Number two, it is very fast. One wants a rough idea about the content. The moment the one, like when you get to YouTube, not YouTube, but to Google, and you click on a word quagmire, meaning of the word quagmire, it gives you the meaning immediately. So it's just like what we call scanning. It's very fast, and once want a rough idea about the content. But two, there is a high probability of leaving out information, important information. Now, these are disadvantages of scanning. As far as you're looking for a keyword, there is a possibility of you leaving the most important information. The keyword can either be at the beginning or at the end of a paragraph, depending on the style of writing adopted, or inductive or deductive. Also, it is useful for making summaries. Scanning is useful and skimming is useful for making a summary. You don't read everything. Then we also have another type of reading, which is a type of reading number 3, which is called study reading. Sometimes we call it SQ3R. If you find this in your exam, SQ3R, asking you for a study reading. S stands for survey, Q stands for question, 3 stands for R stands for read, recite, revise. Read, recite, revise, or read, recall, review. Sometimes you may be asked in an exam, explain the SQ3R method of studying, of study reading. method of study or method of reading. So usiseme haukufunzwa, I don't know what. SQ3R simply means survey, question, read, recite or recall, revise or review. Now, study reading is what mostly we do because we want to pass an exam. This is mostly what we do. Students, this is mostly what we do because we are all students. I'm also a student as we speak with you. I'm also a student. Kwa wale hawajui, mimi ni mwanafunzi na mimi ni mwanafunzi ambaye ninakufunza pia. I'm also a student, and most of the time that when you are doing the reading, specifically we want to pass our exam and we want to understand, we do what we call study reading. Now, study reading to examine or try to diagnose the idea or subject to gain a deeper understanding of the concept. The recommended method of study is the SQ3R method. What does survey mean? I'm just going to explain, giving examples. Survey simply means when you get to the library, you want to read a book. Maybe you have some students here who are doing diploma in accounting and finance. Maybe you want a book of entrepreneurship. I believe that all of us are doing entrepreneurship. And maybe you want a book, or you want a book on management, principles of management. So when you go to the library, you will find that there are so many books on entrepreneurship or what we call principles of management. Once you get there, you need to survey. You need to look at those books. What aspect, approach is used in the material to help you know the depth or scope of coverage and relevance to the study? Like right now, we have done communication skills. You go to seek for a book in communication for communication skills, you know exactly what I have taught you. The best thing about university is that whatever I have taught you is what I will examine you. So if you're asking how will be the exam is right on your fingertips. It's right on your face. Whatever I have taught you is what I'm going to examine you on. So when you go to the library, look for books of things that I have taught you. Don't look for books, very voluminous book for communication skills. You start reading things that I have not taught you. Things that are totally against or beyond what I have taught you. That's why we give you a course outline. Like if you go to the portal, after I have introduced myself, I have given a course outline. So if you click on that course outline, it will open and you will see what you're supposed to have been taught. By the time you are doing your exam, your final exam, the teacher must have taught you everything that is listed in that particular course outline. That is the importance of a course outline. So, and that course outline, I have stipulated the topic and the subtopic. So if you read beyond the subtopics, then you are actually doing what? You are taking a wrong direction. The course outline is a roadmap of where we are going. A course outline is a roadmap of where we are going. So if you go beyond the course outline, for example, you are a driver, you are driving your car, you've been given a roadmap. If you continue or you go beyond the roadmap, then you're taking the wrong turn or wrong decision. And where you will land in a very wrong place. You may also land in a what we call in a sea because you are not following the roadmap. You may also find yourself in a river. You You may also find yourself in a forest, in a place that you don't understand where you are. You may not be able to reach your destination because you are not following the roadmap. So if you want to pass your exam, follow the roadmap. The roadmap is the course outline. Course outline tells you this is what we are going to learn, and we will cover it to this particular extent. So if you go against it, shauri yako. Now that is upon you. That's how students fail in universities. You are doing maybe, for example, a unit in accounting, financial management. You have been taught up to this particular point, and the roadmap, which is the course outline, tells you that we will cover this, maybe profit and loss account, up to this particular point. So you go and you start reading things that are not making sense, looking for bigger book, voluminous book, that you can show others that you know much than them, know much than the teacher. And then when the exam comes, you are unable to do it because you followed the wrong route. Now, survey is when you go and take books. You are given several books for communication skills or for health and wellness. And when you look at these books, you have to compare them with what the course outline has. For example, the health and wellness, we are talking about maybe breast cancer. And maybe the teacher has given in a course outline that as far as breast cancer is concerned, we will deal with it up to this particular section. Then you decide that, of course, that is the course outline. Now, when you go to the library, you check for that book that looks like what is in the course outline. And that is the best book that you pick. You survey, check the books. Don't pick any book that you feel like this is the best. Not according to how you feel, according to what has been put down in the course outline. Once that is done, you question yourself. For example, you had some questions. Does it have the what definition? Does it have the cause? Does it have maybe, for example, the cure? Does it have, for example, those things? You question yourself, what am I reading about? Maybe I'm reading about breast cancer. Or maybe I'm reading about introduction to communication. And you are questioning what are the different types of communication. So as you are reading your books, this is how you read. As you read your books, for example, today we are reading about, say, for example, library skills. You ask yourself, what is a library? As you read, you write short notes with you. Read, go with an exercise book or a rough paper. Try to write short notes as you read. And when you finish reading, ask yourself some questions. Close the book. Now try to memorize. What have I read? I've read about communication. I've read about different types of communication. I've read about levels of communication. I've read about advantages and disadvantages of oral communication. You start now remembering by putting down the points. Once, let's not go beyond that. Once you have surveyed, you have gotten the right book, and you have questioned yourself, and you have made what we call brief notes. Read the book. Umeangalia kitabu ukaona kweli hii kitabu iko na maswali ambayo niko nayo kwa akili. It is going to answer the questions that I have in mind. Then take the book and read it. Sit down, read. As you are reading, try to understand. Try to have what we call a rough book, where you are writing maybe the definition of communication, maybe the levels of communication, maybe types of communication, maybe the process of communication. Try to remember as you are reading. Once you read the book, Try to recall. Trying to recall is to put the book aside. Weka kitabu kando, anza kukumbuka vitu zenye umesoma. Anza kukumbuka zile vitu ambazo umesoma. Try to remember what you have read. How did the book start? It started by defining the term communication. And it defined communication by saying communication is the process of creating a common understanding between the sender and the receiver. Then once they defined the communication, they talked about types of communication. So you said maybe they talked about oral communication, non-verbal communication, written communication, and so on. Then apart from that, they went to the next point and they looked at levels of communication. They looked at, for example, direct communication. They looked at what we call indirect communication. They looked at group communication, and so on and so forth. You're trying to remember after reading a book, writing down some notes. And where you find that you cannot remember, you go back to reading until you get it. Now, then the next point, which is point 4, recite, recall. Ask yourself, what have you understood? Of course, asking yourself what you have understood is writing down with your book closed. And if you cannot remember, revise, review, go back to the book. There is something that I have forgotten. I've forgotten three types or 3 types of communication or 3 forms of communication. You remember, you read until you get the whole thing. You see, you are not cramming. Cram, unajaribu kukumbuka, una realize kuna vitu haukumbuki vizuri. You are trying to remember, you realize that there are some things you are not remembering properly. You go back to the book, you read again, and you go back to your rough book. You try to write everything the way you have read it. If there is anything that is not clear, you go back to reading until you get the whole topic properly. And that is not cramming. Cramming is when you take a book, you're trying to what? Understand every word the way they are. Trying to understand everything. Actually, not trying to understand. Trying to force yourself to get it right. Force it in your brain to get it right. That is cramming. And it is not reading. Because cramming, again, it can put you in a very awkward situation. Barriers to effective reading. Various barriers to effective reading. One of them is emotional barriers, like fear. Fear is one of the barriers to effective reading. Fear, example, fear of criticism and judgment. Students are often afraid of criticism. They will receive the criticism they will receive from teachers, criticism they will receive from parents and fellow students if they do not do well. For some students, this fear is so great that they would rather not try to succeed than risk having to take the criticism. Fear of criticism. Everybody will criticize you. Everywhere you go, you will be criticized. But people don't like being criticized because it is through critique or being criticized that you make your work more perfect and more better. Fear of failure. Some students, rather than being afraid of criticism that comes with not succeeding, are afraid of failure itself. If a student has repeatedly experienced failure in the past, they get the idea that they will always fail and therefore they do not bother trying. Failure is part of life. Failure is part of life. And for example, there are some students who have repeated various grades. and they are told, can you go and repeat again? They say, no, I feel I will fail. Fear of rejection. So besides the fear of criticism or the fear of failure, some students are more afraid of rejection by their peers. Some students are afraid that if they fail, they will not be as cool, and people will not like them as much as they have failed. Another one is shame. Another one is emotional sensitivity. There is no way you can go to the library and you're emotionally sensitive. Example, umekutana na rafiki yako pale before uingie kwa library and he has called you some names. Or maybe as you are coming from town and you are going to the library to read, the tout did not return your change, did not give you your change. And when you demanded for your change of 1,000, he denied that you gave him 1,000 shillings and actually accuses you of not being fair at all. So you are very emotional as you are headed to the library to read, and I can assure you that day will be the worst day for you. Because of emotions, you will not read. When we receive calls from our friends that so and so is in the hospital, and maybe you have just landed in a library, read. You will not read because you will be emotionally disturbed. Adjusting to change is another one. Number 2 is what we call motivational barriers. And people lack the goal of reading. You just go to the library, you don't know what to read. You start saying, today I'm going to read this. You have changed your mind, I'm going to read this. Then you change your mind, no, I'm not going to read this. Maybe I will read this because this one is okay. Those ones. When you go to the library and you have planned yourself, remember we talked about preparation. You need to prepare yourself psychologically that you are going to read. The moment you prepare yourself psychologically and you prepare yourself that I'm going to read about this, then when you visit the library, go and read what you had planned. Number 2 is what we call procrastination. Procrastination is postponing things. I'll read tomorrow. Tomorrow comes, I'll read tomorrow. Tomorrow never comes until it gets to a point. Tomorrow is when we are going to have our final exam. That's now the time you want to read 12 topics, all of them at the same time. At that point, you will not be understanding anything because you will have fear. And most of the time, you can even be sick. You are under stress. Properly arranged reading environment is another thing. If you lock yourself in an improperly arranged reading environment like a store, a place that is very dusty, where we have bags of cement, where we have what we call the spades, the mattock is there, and every equipment is put in the store. That's where you want to put your table and start reading because it's the most private place as far as your home is concerned. That one you will not understand anything. Remember, a store is usually very dusty. There was a friend of mine I called when we were reading for exams, and I asked him, where are you? He told me, I'm working. He was working with one of the government offices. He said, niko kwa store ninasoma. I'm in a store, I am reading. I told him, in a store? He said, yes. Our store is very good. That's where I've hidden myself. That's where I'm hiding. Because if I go to the office, will start giving me some work to do. I'm hiding in a store. That's where I'm reading. So you can imagine. Learning disability is also another thing. This disability relates to particular functions of the brain, which controls the speech. Reading and writing, speech control the speech. Reading and writing demands. Like for example, we have what we call Down syndrome. We have cerebral palsy. Cerebral palsy is a disease that affects the spinal cord. We have blindness. Blindness is something that can make you not read, among others. Some the causes of disabilities affecting reading and learning. Examples include we have what we call dyslexia. Dyslexia is a condition. This condition, the person has difficulties understanding the written word. Dyslexia, the person has difficulties understanding the written word. We also have dysgraphia. Dysgraphia, the person has difficulties forming letters when writing. This is a condition. Then we have dyscalculia. Dyscalculia, the person has difficulties understanding mathematics. So you may be wondering, why is my son not performing well in mathematics? Maybe he's suffering from dyscalculia. Has difficulties understanding mathematics. You tell him 12 times 3 is what? The person cannot tell you because he's having a condition called dyscalculia. So other barriers of effective reading include what? Lack of time. Work from Monday to Friday for a part-time student. And when you come in the evening, you come at 10. So you come, you are so tired, you eat, you sleep. The cycle continues until we get to time of doing the exam. So lack of time is another thing. Reluctant, being reluctant. Reluctant simply means there is time. We read, there is time, there is time. Keep motivating yourself, there is time, until the time now comes for you to do the exam. Lack of concentration is another one. If you lack concentration, you will not understand what you are reading. In a library reading, and every now and then again you are on WhatsApp. People are telling you, come to town, we buy you some drink. You chat with them to a point that you decide now to close the book and follow them. Because they say if you cannot beat them, join them. We also have environmental barriers like background noises, location, example libraries, public places. If you go to a library that is located in a place where there is noise, that one is going to affect you. Then how do you improve your reading skills? One, have a clear reading goals. Number two, choose the right text. Don't go to the library and decide I'm going to read everything. Also read up-to-date information. Those things. Use the right reading style. For example, you are reading, you are doing the reading because of passing the exam. Use the study reading style. Don't use scanning and skimming. Watu huwa wanasoma mtihani. There are people when they are reading the exam, they do scanning and skimming. That is not the proper reading style. The proper reading style when you are preparing yourself to read the exam is the study reading, the purposes of understanding. Before, use note-taking techniques. As you are reading, take notes. Have a rough book. Have a book where you are taking notes. That shows how serious you are. So when you talk about taking notes, you need to underline and highlight the most important points. You need to question whatever material you are reading. You also need to do what we call summarize your work. In summary, we have what we call ways ways to improve your reading skills, which include have a clear focus on your reading. Number 2, survey the text before you read. Scan and skim, select the text. Scan and skim after detailed reading, and use a form of note-taking reading. It's good to take notes when reading. You don't read books for understanding purposes like novels. You need to take notes. Having said that, I think we've come to the end of today's lesson, unless you have a question. Any question? Do we have any question? Do we have any question? If you don't have any question, I have shared a link there to the WhatsApp group. Those who are not in the WhatsApp group, you can join using that link. I've shared a link there. Use that link to do what? Join that WhatsApp group for the Wednesday class. I know majority of you have already joined. So I'm checking the group to see those who are joining. We have 2 people who have already, 3 people. These people, where have you been? You are still joining that group. Where have you been for all that time? Bobo, where have you been? There's a person called Bobo here. Is that person here? If there is no question, then I give you what we call the assignments for today. There is a quiz there and there is a discussion forum there that you're supposed to do. Maybe I can read them for you. But before we go there, I've unleashed today's notes. You can download them as we speak. There are some activities that need your attention. The activities are, number 1, it's a discussion. Discuss the points to bear in mind when preparing a PowerPoint presentation about the role of technology in communication. Yes. Then lastly, there is a quiz 6. Discuss some common reading comprehension strategies that can help readers better understand the passage. Discuss some common reading comprehension strategies that can help the reader better understand the passage. Those are the activities of the day. Once you complete those activities, attendance marks itself automatically. If you don't, you will remain absent until you do activities. So then I think we are done. we are done. We have approximately 1 hour to go and do those activities. I stop at that point. Thank you for your time.